Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give our praises to Yahweh, by Shemi Awashai, by Shemi Kakadash, double honors to the Prophet Ray Mills, Tony Truth and Ruel, peace, blessing inside, Tesha, Akim there, scatter bars to the forefront of the earth, that sermon is truth and true sincerity, to us at Shalom. This is Brother Nabala, come to another video in the spirit, and the top of this video is going to be about E is feeling it now. You know, when I say about that, they are basically getting a taste of their own medicine. You know, they're getting a taste of what Jake has been going through, you know, throughout all these years, man. And now E is on the other end of it now. You know, where they are victims of what you could say is police brutality, which really is not police brutality, you know, because it's going through ICE, but they are law enforcement. So now they are seeing how that feels, you know, to be beaten on, to be thrown around, and then ultimately gunned down, because that's what's happening, you know. These ICE agents, they're not playing, man. You know, they have a very, very short fuse. You know, if any type of resistance, and they're ready to wield the sword on you, man. You know, which is a modern day gun. You know, and then also this ICE agent. It was someone was recording, and I guess they was talking. They was talking to the ICE agent, and he said, "Don't raise your voice at me." He said, "If you raise your voice, I'm going to erase your voice." So that's showing you the mindset that they're in, man. You know, very short fuses. Matter of fact, before I grab this, I'm going to come over here. Matthew 24 and verse 12. It says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." And yeah, there's no love out here, man. You know, we're living in a cold world, and it's only going to get colder, man. No pun intended, because it is wintertime. But yeah, we're living in a cold world right now, you know, and everyone's on edge, and especially these ICE agents. They're on super edge, man, because you know these protests. You know, they supposed to be peaceful, you know, but now, you know, because you got it's uproars happening. You know, people are mad because of how they're going about and grabbing up, you know, the Northern Kingdom, man. You know, they're mad about how they're doing it. You know, how they're supplanting them. You know, it was one incident where these ICE agents, they went into a Mexican restaurant, you know, ate there for lunch, and then came back and apprehended some people, man. So they're moving, you know, very crafty, you know, but very ferocious as well, man. You know, they're not showing any mercy, you know, and people are mad about that, and it's causing people to have uproars, you know, and have these protests, and these protests are now turning violent, and now it's resulting in people losing their lives, man. And who's been on the other end of losing their lives has been Esau. You know, the so-called white man. They are the ones who are being gunned down now. You know, so now they're getting a taste of what we've been going throughout all these years. But all this is a fulfillment of this prophecy too. You know, because when you come over here to Deuteronomy 30:7, it says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." Yeah. And who was our number one enemy? Esau, Edom, man. And where do we see these curses being slowly lifted off of us and being put on our enemies? You know, we see that going on in the times we're living in now, man, where the Lord is slowly lifting the curses off of us and putting them on our enemies. You know, all these other nations, but specifically Esau, Edom, man, because they're the main one who hates us, who comes up against us, man, who's been slaying us throughout the years. Now it's payback time, man. You know, it's the Lord's vengeance time. You know, it's time for him to start getting some payback. You know, and he's using, because you know when you read the scriptures, you know it says Assyrian will rot of my anger. It's in Isaiah. I can't remember exactly where it's at right now, but that's referring to Esau, Edom. You know, the Heavenly Father used them to pass judgment. You know, he was using Esau to pass judgment on us, but now he's using Esau to pass judgment on his own. You know, so when you come over here to Isaiah 19:2, it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Yeah, and we see that going on now, man. You know, these Edomites are fighting against each other, man. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And what does the scripture say? A house divided against itself cannot stand, man. A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So when we see this in-house fighting going on, we understand, us in this truth, that this is a fulfillment of prophecy, and that we're getting closer and closer to the downfall of Esau, Edom's kingdom, man. Where it's going to be completely done away with. You know, we're fastly approaching that day, and things are only going to get worse and worse, man. And we are on the brink of civil war popping off, because if these incidents keep taking place, man, people are not going to just lay down. People are not just going to be out here, you know, unarmed. You know, these protests are not going to be peaceful. And then I was watching the brothers from Chicago videos earlier. They said that, I believe they said some governors, mayors, or senators, one of those, I can't remember exactly what, basically said that you can start shooting back at the ICE agents, man. They said some states have said that. So what is that going to pop off? And we all seen the movie Civil War. You know, we see Bushwick, multiple movies that talk about Civil War, man. So if their officials are giving them the go ahead to defend themselves and attack back, then what's gonna happen? And then that's how you know that, like brother was saying, this stuff is already planned. You know, this stuff is planned. This stuff is drawn out strategically. He tried to be crafty. He tried to be cunning with it, but you know he's smooth and sloppy. But we know if that takes place, then the insurrection is going to happen. We're going to have martial law, man. You know, you're going to have these troops out here patrolling the streets, because the law enforcement not going to be able to do nothing, man. And then you got law enforcement who's mad at ICE too, and they probably going to start fighting against them too. So then when Trump brings in the troops, then that's when it's really going to be on the popping, man. Because these troops, they not coming to talk, man. They're not coming to talk. They're not coming to hear no sides, man. They coming to establish order, you know. And if you don't want to abide by the order that they're trying to establish, then you thought you seen something before. You thought you seen how ruthless ICE was. Wait until these troops get on these streets, man. They gonna show you where ruthless truly is, man. But these are the times that we're entering into. I'm gonna come over here to 2nd Ezra 9, and I'm gonna start at 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest the part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world." Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing uproars of people in the world. And from us measuring the time digitally, we understand that this is the time that Yahweh Shemiah Shai is visiting this place, man. And is getting this place ready for the grand appearance of Yahweh Shai. That's the day that we're fastly approaching, you know, when Yahweh Shai returns, man. But all these things that's happening is for us to understand where we're at, man. Where we're at in prophecy, you know. And we're close, you know. And what does Yahweh Shai say? He says, which hold on, let me grab it. I don't want to butcher it. Luke 12:49 says, I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? Yeah, this place is going to already be on fire, man. It's going to already be a lot going on. And Yahweh just going to return and add to the fire, man. How he's going to add to the fire? With his thermonuclear destructions, man. I mean, not the thermonuclear destruction. That too, but with his laser beam from the chariots, man. That's how he's going to add to the fire. Yahweh's he's gonna get his hands dirty too. And then also, I wanted to grab this earlier. It just came back to mind. This is Romans 13:1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of Yahweh, the powers that be ordained of Yahweh. It says, whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of Yahweh, and they that resist it shall receive to themselves damnation. Yeah. So it says, let every soul, and, we, mainly First Jake, that's something that we've had to always live by, be subject to the higher powers. It's how Shai said, agreeing with thine adversary quickly. When you get pulled over by the police, don't be out here trying to get rowdy with them. Just yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Give them your documents. Act accordingly, because things can go left real quick. But when Esau, they're such a prideful people, man. They're like, oh, you can't do that to us. We have rights. We have this. We have that. It's not right. That's how they are. So now that they're on the other end of the stick, man, they don't know how to handle it. And their mindset is to bulk up and fight back. Not to okay, we see what type of time they on. Let us dial back. No, they're gonna even get riled up even more and more. But this is all through Yahweh Shem Shai. He's mingling the spirits of these people for them to get riled up, for them to fight back, man. Because all this stuff, like I keep saying, is a fulfillment of prophecy, man. Nations fighting against each other, civil war, martial law. All these things have to take place. A time of trouble. All these things have to take place for the kingdom to be established, man. So, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to close out. I ain't going to make this too long. St. Esdras 15. And, I'm going to go to 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword of their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. It says, a man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. It says, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Yeah. It says that in verse 19, it says that men shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yeah, man. It's going to get chaotic out here, man. It says the sword of their destruction drive nigh. It says one people shall stand up fighting against another with swords in their hand, the modern day gun. It says not regard their kings or princes, the people and those power seats, your governors, your mayors, your senators. They're not gonna continue to listen to them, man. Because they some of these governors and mayors saying fight back, but then when they see how bad it's gonna get, then they're gonna try to what? Okay, it's been too much. We need to come to a solution. They're not going to hear that, man. Because people are going to be losing their loved ones. People are going to be losing friends, family members, all type of stuff. And like I was grabbed at Matthew 24, the love of many waxing cold. People ain't going to be wanting to hear that, man. People going to have a cold heart and ready to just get down. They're going to be desiring, in their eyes, revenge. They're going to try to redeem the people that they lost or the things that they have lost. So this is a time that we're entering into, man. And it's going to be completely bad. It says that man should desire to go into the city and should not be able. When you implement martial law, it's going to be complete lockdown. You ain't going to be able to maneuver how you want to, man. They're going to have to lock it down. So, this where we at, man. And it's a beautiful thing to see, you know. And for us in this truth, us seeing these things, you know, like it says in 2 Peter 3:11. Matter of fact, I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna end it with that. 2 Peter 3:11 says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all holy conversation and godliness?" Yeah, what is your conduct supposed to be like in these times, man? You know, and our conduct is going to be what? You know, we're going to continue to be on our watch, but also we're going to make sure that we're preparing ourselves. How are we preparing ourselves? By getting ourselves spiritually ready, man. Continue to building up our faith, you know, towards Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You know, continue to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven. That's what we're going to do, man, in this truth, in this ministry. But for the rest of the people in the world, man, they through, you know. So these things are going on is for us, you know, for us to continue to be on our watch, continue to measure the time diligently, you know, because we know what's coming and we know who's coming. So that's pretty much it. Lord willing, this video is edifying. I'm going to close out by giving all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Rakakadash. Shalom.